Welcome back. You're watching Today. Now, insurance is an invaluable purchase for those wanting to protect their hard-earned assets from accidents, theft, natural disasters, and in recent times, gas explosions in the city. Q Pineapple Insurance, it's a digital insurance startup that is disrupting the insurance industry and providing services to consumers looking for comprehensive cover at an affordable price. The company's growth has been phenomenal, and it helps that it's had quirky billboards that have had tags wagging. One of the founders, Ndabenhle Ngulube, joins us in studio to share Pineapple's journey. Thank you very much for joining us. And I suppose the first question, obviously, would be, what's behind the name Pineapple?
First and foremost, thank you so much, Rofhiwa, for having me on your platform. So when it comes to the actual name Pineapple, there's a very common misconception that people have about the actual fruit, the pineapple. A lot of people assume that the pineapple is one whole fruit, but in actuality, it's a bunch of berries that come together to make the whole. And this coincidentally echoes the sentiment of insurance, where the many come together to form one sweet protective layer.
Very interesting and very out of the box. So why the digital insurance space? It is a space that's been disrupted by many other players, and you saw a gap in the market, I suppose, that you could potentially fill?
Definitely. So when we started investigating potential avenues whereby we can disrupt the short-term insurance space, we really boiled it down to two key pain points that insurance customers were facing at the time. The first one being access and the second one being trust. Now, I'll start by addressing the access pain point. Around the time before we launched Pineapple, when it came to traditional insurance and purchasing policies online, there wasn't really an intuitive sort of process or platform that users could use. In fact, the extent that traditional insurance companies provided online presence was that it would have flows where you'd eventually stop at a certain point, following which an agent would call you and basically conclude the sale. There wasn't really an end-to-end process whereby somebody could download an app and purchase a policy and manage the policy by themselves and manage their claims and so forth. So we really saw a gap in the market in that regard. And with respect to the trust element, what we found at the time was that there was an inherent mistrust that customers had with insurers. They felt as if the insurance company had it in them to deny their claim in order to increase their bottom line. So we found those two sort of potential areas whereby we could exploit them and roll out something that would make sense for the consumer in South Africa.
So what were the teething points there, or the teething problems that you would have faced in creating this platform or this product offering for South African consumers?
The biggest teething problem that we faced was really getting to the bottom of understanding all of our lead channels and understanding sort of how each of those leads were performing. So for instance, in the very early days, what we used to do was basically splash money on all of our marketing efforts without really understanding how each of those channels behave in terms of conversions and so forth. But over time, we started to really break this down into a scientific approach, whereby now we really understand how each channel performs in terms of conversions. Therefore, we know where to spend money and where to draw back our spend in order to get the most bang for our buck.
Yeah, so those two pillars you mentioned, the access and addressing the issue of mistrust, are two of your key pillars on which the business was premised. But what is it that Pineapple is giving consumers on a general scale that other insurance providers are perhaps not?
So we give them peace of mind, ease of use, as well as, it goes back to what I said about the trust pillar. So what we do at Pineapple is we've completely revolutionized the business model. So how we make our money is through a fixed fee model. And any money that's left after we've taken our fixed fee is given back to the community for paying claims. And whatever is left after paying claims is given back to the customer and goes straight back into their back pocket. So we really have no incentive to deny a claim. As long as a claim is above board and fair, we will pay it out. And I think that's something that's been missing in the insurance industry as a whole. Just a service that is fair to the consumer at the end of the day.
Yeah, and I mean, you've been operating in this space for quite some time now with other competitors. Have you come across things within the business that you could perhaps improve upon as the business grows?
Of course, like with all things, there's always room for improvement, whether it comes to marketing efforts, whether it comes to customer service, whether it comes to claims. In fact, at Pineapple, we have a saying whereby we strive to be the fairest of them all. We actually have that phrase written on our wall, the fairest of them all. So we really strive to make sure that on all fronts of the business, we are being fair to the customer at the end of the day.
Yeah, and I'm glad you bring up the marketing, because Pineapple has been quite very good in the marketing. We see the billboards all around the city and things like that. Tell us about the importance of marketing and how that helps set you apart from other digital short-term insurance providers that are out there in the market.
Sure. So when it comes to marketing, it really depends on the life cycle, the stage of the life cycle where you find your business. So when you're a small startup, you tend not to have a big budget for elaborate, above the line marketing campaigns. So what you really want to do at that point is really deep dive into getting the most out of your digital marketing efforts. And that's exactly how we started. I'm not too sure if you ever saw some of our adverts on social media.
Yes, on Twitter.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we really found that the sweet spot to start off at is really just getting a handle over that digital marketing effort. And then as you grow and as you start to grow your budget and you start to find the need to reach out to a wider client base, that's when you start to transition across to the billboard space. And the billboard space is very interesting, and I'll tell you why. One thing that I realized about billboards is that they actually supply a lot of confidence to your brand. They bring a level of credibility to your brand, especially, you know what I'm saying? Exactly. And this is something that was new for me to experience as well. So if you had spoken to me about maybe 6 months after we started, and you asked me what I think about billboard marketing, I probably would have told you that this is archaic, it's not going to work, it's backward thinking. But having seen the effect that this campaign has had on us, it's completely changed my perception of the medium. In fact, when we started our initial billboard campaign, we saw a 2,000% increase in traffic to our website, which is incredible.
I want us to talk about the actual product offerings that you have when it comes to comprehensive short-term insurance. When you look at the level of claims that you're getting, have you had to grapple with increased claims related to load shedding, all of the many things that people are facing at the moment? So load shedding leading to accidents, to the destruction of appliances. What is the trend that you're seeing as Pineapple at the moment when it comes to claims?
You've hit the nail directly on the head, Rofhiwa, especially when it comes to vehicle-related collisions as a result of load shedding. I mean, traffic lights go off. All of a sudden, the probability of being in an accident increases. So we do see a lot of claims coming through as a result of load shedding related accidents, as well as with digital appliances, whereby load shedding strikes, power comes back on, and all of a sudden you have a power surge and your appliances get fried. So we definitely see those trickling into our system.
Yeah. And then finally, what are the growth prospects you have as Pineapple, you and the team? And any entrepreneur watching, I love to ask this question because everybody approaches business from a completely different way or perspective. So the advice that you would give to someone not necessarily going into the short-term insurance space, but who's looking at business as a viable option for sustainable personal growth and general contribution to the economy. So yeah, growth plans and advice you would give to an aspiring entrepreneur or someone who's in the business and is already quite struggling.
So with respect to the growth question, funny enough, in 2020, we partnered up with a short-term insurance provider in the States called Travelers Insurance.
Yeah.
So we essentially white-labeled our application for them, and they basically used our app with their CI, their colors and logos and whatnot, and they started selling short-term insurance in that manner. So in terms of expansion, we're always looking for such opportunities to go into new jurisdictions where we can partner up with an existing license holder and basically allow them the use of our app to sell insurance the Pineapple way. With respect to advice to up-and-coming entrepreneurs, I would just say just start, I feel as if the more you overthink things, the more you start to convince yourself and find reasons not to start. But the moment you just dive headfirst into it, that's when the magic starts.
Yeah, look, I might be considering changing my short-term insurance provider. I don't know. I haven't
Would love to have you on board.
Thank you so much for joining us in studio. You've just heard there from Ndabenhle Ngulube from Pineapple Insurance, one of the founders, just talking to us about Pineapple's journey, its growth, and of course, advice. Just start. If you think about it too much, then you'll convince yourself not to do it.